Welcome, tender hearts and keen readers of the human soul, to your haven of whispers and wonder, Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Here, we don't just chase headlines, we listen for the quiet tremor beneath them, the rhythm that turns a name into a story and a story into a shared ache. Before we lift the curtain on tonight's delicate chapter, take a second to subscribe, tap the bell so you never miss a breath of what matters, and, if you believe that feelings deserve thoughtful storytelling, press the join button. Becoming a member of Turkish Spotlight Secrets is the truest way to keep this space alive and deepen the conversations we share. For days, a rumor drifted through Istanbul like a wind with too much to say and nowhere safe to land. Then, without warning, it hardened into fact. Erkan Meriç, the face that once symbolized devotion for a generation of fans, was seen exchanging unmistakably tender gestures with a woman whose name, until last night, no one knew. It happened in the center of the city, at an invite-only event where privacy is promised but never guaranteed. A few discreet images, captured between the clink of crystal and the hush of expensive perfume, spiraled online faster than anyone could blink. Screens lit up, timelines erupted, and the story took on a life of its own. But as is so often the case, what pierced the public most deeply wasn't the revelation of a new romance. It was the quiet, powerful response of the woman who shared a past with him that never quite stopped echoing. Hazal Subaşı, who for many still embodies the old, golden chapter of that love, didn't lash out, didn't explain, didn't perform. She stood at the center of the storm and let silence be her only statement. And that was somehow louder than any speech she could have given. The night began with velvet and glass and the glow of a prestigious fashion gala, a setting of curated elegance where reputations mix with fragrance notes and secrets slip through laughter. In that crowded ballroom, where cameras hovered at the edge of every conversation, Urkin arrived not alone but at the side of a young designer whose sharp eye and gentle presence have long kept her away from the spectacle of celebrity. Her name, as later confirmed through murmurs and messages, is Elif Demir. She and Urkin did their best to keep space between them, respectful, intentional, not quite enough to fool anyone who knows the choreography of a blossoming connection. A few knowing glances, laughter softened by shared meaning, the small physics of two people drawn into each other's orbit, little clues that said everything. One heartbeat of carelessness, no more than a brief slip from vigilance into instinct, was all it took. A lens, lurking just far enough away to be plausible, caught his hand reaching for hers as they spoke in the corner of the room. That single touch, weightless and undeniable, exploded into a dozen captions. Urkin finds tenderness again. The new muse in the life of a man the nation once claimed as its own. And with that, two names from a story that refuses to die were pulled back into the spotlight, because for many who watched that love unfold, it remains impossible to separate his present from his history with Hazal. As fate would have it, at that very moment, in a different hall across the same city, Hazal was attending a charity event. The update found her not through the whisper of a friend but through a message from her representative, just minutes before the red carpet. She stepped forward anyway, meeting the flashes with a smile she has practiced 1,000 times and, for the first time in a long time, could not fully maintain. A reporter, careless with timing and human softness, asked the question everyone else left buried behind their eyes. For a few long breaths, Hazal said nothing, the air around her thinning like a room with windows closed. Then, steady but trembling at the edges, she said she would not comment on other people's private lives. And that was it. No corrections, no defenses. She turned from the lights and slipped away without a backward glance. The moment lasted only seconds, but the meaning has stretched across days. To some, it was a lesson in restraint, a refusal to step into the mud just because someone opened the gate. To others, it was a visible ache, the kind that cannot be disguised once it surfaces in the eyes. Online, messages poured in like warm blankets and cold water in equal measure. You could tell she's hurting. Dignity can be louder than outrage. She's protecting herself, she has every right. And among the compassionate voices were those who analyzed her distance as strategy, a graceful sidestep away from a history that still draws blood. Those who know the woman beneath the headlines insist she had no warning. She had been shielding her life with quiet routines, stepping back from the chatter any time the past tried to find her. And then the news, raw and sudden, cut through her defenses in the worst possible place, under the flash of cameras. One friend, speaking gently, said she looked present and far away all at once, like someone forcing her body through a door her heart refused to open. Not jealous, not possessive, just bruised by the violence of surprise. Dear friends of Turkish Spotlight Secrets, pause with us for a breath. Imagine being asked to process something private while the world watches for your face to crack. Was her quiet an act of strength, or simply a human moment she refused to mask? Tell us what you felt in that silence. And if you want this channel to continue treating these stories with care, don't forget to press join. Your support is our oxygen. Erkan, for his part, has not issued any statement. The actor who built a career on presence has chosen invisibility. Visible enough to be seen, careful enough not to explain. Those close to him say he's done hiding from the weight of memory, that he wants to grant the present an honest chance. A friend, speaking softly, said he didn't search for this, it unfolded like good weather after a season of storms. According to this voice, a leaf isn't tethered to the theater of fame. She shows up without needing to be seen, and that stillness has steadied him in ways he didn't expect. Outside, however, stillness is a luxury no one will grant. Fans have been carving the air into factions, stacking photos and recollections against a new set of images that feel both fresh and disloyal. Some celebrate the simple fact that moving on is a kind of healing. Others insist that time hasn't stretched far enough, that something unresolved still lingers between Urkin and Hazal. The public conversation has become a mirror of the relationship itself. Bright with hope and shadowed with ache, constantly searching for a truth that maybe belongs to no one but them. The press examined every piece of Hazal's brief appearance that night. Specialists in posture and glance weighed in, claiming that choosing not to speak was its own kind of language, the way one preserves dignity when words would only trap them. Yet the body transcends strategy. The softened eyes, the slight fracture in her voice, the protective hand near her chest before she turned away, these were the betrayals of a heart receiving news it never asked for. In the days that followed, Hazal grew quiet. No new posts. No bright captions. An absence that spoke with the clarity of a sentence. She stayed close to family, drowned herself in work when the camera wasn't watching, and stepped away from the conversation the world wanted her to host. A close confidant explained that she wasn't courting pity and had no interest in appearing fragile, but there are stories that leave permanent fingerprints. What she shared with Erkan, this person said, was singular. Recognizing that it's evolving without her is a complicated ache, part resignation, part tenderness for a chapter that doesn't stop mattering simply because it ends. Meanwhile, life moved. Erkan was seen again with a leaf, this time at a quietly elegant restaurant in Bebek, where the Bosphorus listens more than it speaks. He didn't hide, not exactly, though he kept the gestures measured and private. There were no lingering kisses to feed a headline, just a calm certainty that let the room know where he stood. Many read that calm as a closing line, an acknowledgement that the old story has placed its last period. Yet the public isn't ready to shelve the book. Old clips of the former couple have been stitched together with songs that make even the strongest look for a tissue. People trade memories like postcards, as if sending comfort through captions could change the weather. The topics that carried the night were simple and sharp: Erkan's new love, Hazal's response. Even stripped of their symbols, those words dominated the conversation, proving that this tale still owns a corner of the collective heart. And so we return to the quiet at the center of this noise. By not answering, Hazal created the loudest truth. Her refusal to accuse or explain made her the emotional lighthouse of the week, standing while the waves decided what they wanted to be. In the eyes of many, it isn't the sight of Erkan with someone new that endures, it's the image of Hazal choosing not to perform her pain. She remains, even from a distance, the one who shapes the mood, the gravity that pulls every stray detail back to meaning. Two paths now curve away from each other. Two names continue to be spoken in the same breath. And still, the thread between them refuses to snap completely. Gestures, silences, second-hand acknowledgments, their stories continue to braid together in ways neither seems to control. Because even now, with fresh beginnings unfurling and old memories settling into the corners, the name Erkan is still the reflection visible in Hazal's eyes, the echo she knows how to live with, the smile she can wear without revealing how much it costs to keep it there. We'll leave you here, for now, at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, at the end of a chapter that feels like the beginning of something else. Life moves forward, pages turn. And yet certain narratives carve themselves into us and refuse to fade. We'll keep watching, gently and attentively, for what comes next. If this touched you, if you felt seen in the pause between words, give the video a like, share it with someone who understands, and tell us what you think in the comments. And if you want to help us keep this room warm and the conversations honest, click join. Your support is our strength, your passion is our compass. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Until next time, we'll be right here at Turkish Spotlight Secrets, listening for the heartbeat beneath the headline.